How's it going? Welcome back to the Shot Clock Podcast.
Play with Kevin Garnett. I got to learn so much from Kevin McHale.
TikTokers, social media influencers, retired NBA players, NCAA athletes, and more. You're one of my favorite guys to use in 2K.
It was almost as if the virus didn't exist.
30 minutes is my bad, but sheesh, that flew by. Maybe I'm having fun.
How's it going? Welcome back to the Shot Clock Podcast. My name is Nathan Shaw. Today, I'm joined by our co-host, Sean Craig, and a special guest, Cody Demps, who plays for the G League Ignite. Plays with some great talent as well as is a veteran for the G League. Had a historic run in the G League this year. I mean, he just did amazing. So, Sean, how you doing today, man? Cody, how you doing? How you guys all doing?
I'm good. Let's hear from Cody. Cody just had a big breakfast, so I'm sure he's feeling good. But I'm good. This is my first episode on the show, and let's hear from Cody.
Yeah, man, I appreciate y'all having on for sure. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we're glad to have you on. I mean, for you playing in the G League, I mean, you played with some great talent. This year being in the bubble, it's really a hard kind of unprecedented. I mean, you want to expect whenever you're heading in the G League that you're going to be playing in a bubble. You always expect you're going to be in a stadium, big or small, and be in a stadium in front of fans. But here you are, you're in a bubble for how many weeks was that?
Man, so it's basically like a solid month. We're in there.
So, I mean, when you're there for about a month, I mean, it's not as long as what the NBA was where they're there for 100 days. But, I mean, it still has to suck a little bit being ripped away from normal life.
Yeah, it was rough. Like, I have no idea how they did it for 4 months or however long they're out there. Because, yeah, it's definitely different just not being able to, like, to have your normal routine. Because I'm a big routine guy. As you can tell, I have my breakfast, so that's my thing. And so I'm big on routines. And so out there, you're kind of, ripped away from it. So you're basically like living in kind of like a hotel room for like a month. And so, so you just try to do with it. And so it was cool. But yeah, definitely I say the hardest part was not being able to like see my family and friends. Like those are the people that I really like rely on to like trying to like get away from basketball. Because like when you're out there, it's basically basketball 24/7. Like you live at work. And so it could be rough.
But did they treat you guys good as far as like the service and the hospitality? Was that good?
Yeah, no, it was good. Like it was the best they could do. You feel me? So like there's only so much you could do when no one's allowed outside. And so like they had food and stuff there for us. And one thing that was different though than what from the NBA was we were able to actually order like DoorDash and stuff like that. And so there was like a little table where you'd order your DoorDash and then the person would drop it off and then you could go out and actually go grab it. You couldn't have like any like conversation or anything like that with them, but you're able to have DoorDash. So that made it like at least bearable. So I was able to get, they had like a Krispy Kreme out there. So I got donuts a couple of times, not gonna lie.
I'm disappointed, man.
I've been to Orlando a lot. And I mean, I gotta say the Krispy Kreme is one of my favorite things there, but besides that, I mean, DoorDash is just now kind of getting implemented in my small town. I've never had any experience like that. I've never had a DoorDash experience. So what's your DoorDash experience?
Man, I love DoorDash, man. It comes clutch and like whenever like we're traveling or anything like that. And so like if you ever need food, it'll be easy to order it to the hotel and stuff like that. And so, yeah.
But I thought athletes didn't eat donuts and fast food. I thought y'all just drunk protein shakes.
Nah, man, that's a myth, man. We're normal human beings. So yeah, okay. I try to stay away from it. I try to eat healthy. I actually been on like a more healthy, like not a binge, but like trying to eat more healthy as I've gotten older. You feel me?
Yeah, really. How has like kind of been a pro athlete kind of shaped your diet? Because I mean, there's like a moment wherever you don't know whether or not you're going to go pro. I mean, every athlete has that moment where they never know if they're going to go pro or not because there's always something that could happen. But once you do get that chance to go pro, you have to change up your diet a little bit. So what was that kind of like for you? And what was your diet shift?
Yeah, so they give us a lot of like resources. Like I was in the like Sacramento Kings organization for like 3 years. And so like at least once or twice a year, they'd have like a dietitian come and talk to us and kind of give us like kind of like every tips and tricks on like what you eat, what you try to stay away from to kind of perform your best. And we even got to be able to go like to the grocery store with them a couple of times. And so they're able to like really do hands-on type stuff where like, all right, they like stay with like more natural, more like organic type stuff. And so, yeah, it's definitely a process. Like every day you learn something new. And so, yeah, I've just been trying to up my knowledge on taking care of your body. Because like you said, like LeBron, for instance, man, he spends a lot of money on just keeping his body healthy. And you can see how it's paid off for him in his career, how his longevity and things like that. So it definitely pays off. You got to invest a little bit in yourself and it pays off.
So how many times a day would you say you work out?
Man, I'd say I work out probably at least once a day. Whether that's like most days it'll be like hooping or like lifting, but if I want to kind of take like a break on my body, I'll get in some yoga. So it's at least one thing a day.
I'll send you my workout plan if you want to get, I can help you out.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm always down to learn.
I know for me, working out in the morning, so I wake up at 5:30 every morning, set my alarm, and I wake up and I try to go to the gym. But like my problem is like I always wake up and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go to the gym this morning. Never get out of bed though. I lay there for like 10 minutes, look around, I'm like, not today. Today's not the day. So do you ever find yourself with that when it comes to basketball, working out, and just kind of getting that motivation?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's something that I think that everybody kind of not struggles with, but has their own battles where you try to like maybe lack motivation, or some days you feel like, damn, I'm super motivated, and you're like, dang, if only I could like carry this over to tomorrow morning when the alarm hits at 6 a.m. type stuff. And so just try to keep it consistent. Like the way I see it, like your body will tell you like what you need. And so if you actually are feeling like super like mad tired and like mad down, like it's good to take a break and kind of step away, and kind of your body's obviously telling you something that you might need a little rest if you're going too hard, things like that. So your body will tell you what you need.
Makes sense. So I was watching, I watched some highlights on you. I saw the 32-point game you put up. But before I go into that, I want to know, being in the G League, it's more of you're on the grind. You're on the come up. What do you think you need to do to get you to that next level?
For me, let's see. For me, it's kind of going to be like an interesting transition like this next year. So I've been in the G League for the last couple of years. Haven't really like tested the waters outside into like the international like type play. Like I played my one experience playing like international basketball with Team USA when we played Puerto Rico. And it's definitely different. It's a different type of game, like the NBA versus overseas. And so I think this next year I'm gonna kind of like reach out more and like have my agent talk to more people like overseas, like in Japan and Europe and all that stuff. And so once I figure out, like I have a pretty good understanding of how it's like a slower paced in overseas, slower paced, probably more physical. You probably could get away with more stuff like in terms of like the referees and things like that. And so it'll be interesting to see like what I need to do to like be successful over there. So yeah.
If I could follow, I'm gonna say if I could follow up with him real quick, Nathan. I wanted to ask. I was asking that too because a lot of people kind of sneeze at the G League, but I mean, there is some tough people, especially with a lot of people skipping college. So you're playing with good competition, and I saw, your off ball moving without the ball skills is great, and I'm not saying that just because you're here, but I did pay attention and I like what I saw. So
I appreciate that. Yeah, so I think a lot of like the casual basketball fan wouldn't really appreciate and doesn't really know like how good of players there are in the G League. And so like being able to like attend some like G League games, like I think it's like really special. And so I think it's really nice to have like teams where there might be outside of that main team's market. Like for us, it was Sacramento, it's the main market. And then we played in Stockton, which is kind of like probably like an hour from Sacramento, but still has a lot of Kings fans. And so they're able to actually see like professional basketball players play without having to pay whatever it is for a ticket to actually go to Arco or Golden One Arena. So it's just a good experience for sure.
I know Sean brought it up briefly, but I mean, a little bit about the G League and players skipping. I mean, for the Ignite was kind of a team known for a lot of those younger players skipping college and going straight to the G League to kind of make some money. What do you think kind of has fueled that idea?
I think, to me, one of the main people is the Ball family and how they kind of did their own thing with LaMelo, how he kind of skipped high school and kind of did his own thing. And obviously it's worked out. He's had a hell of a year. And so I think people are starting to see that like there's different options out there. And I think that's what everyone really, really needs. Just college isn't for everybody. And so if you have options, like some it is for people. Like going the college route is good, but just being able to have options and pick and choose rather than just like saying, oh, I have to go to college because this is the route that I have to take to make it to the NBA. So I think it's good.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Yeah.
Has there ever been a moment where you felt like, because I mean, just to clarify, like my moment was I was cut twice from my high school basketball team.
Okay.
So my basketball career was short-lived. But like, has there ever been a moment for you, Cody, where it was like, it was tough and you didn't really know how you kind of felt like maybe this isn't for me? Has there ever been that moment for you?
Yeah. I never felt like maybe it wasn't for me because I always felt like, man, I love basketball and I want to like pursue it to the most. But like there was times where I was like, damn, like maybe this might not be like what it works out. Like sometimes things just happen where the opportunities don't fall or don't land. So you have to kind of make adjustments. And so there's kind of like too, like going into my last high school game, I hadn't committed to Sac State yet. And I really wasn't getting a lot of like Division I, like looks like that. And so that was like my main goal growing up. I put like a lot of effort into it to like really go to D1. And so I wasn't really getting like the looks that I thought. And so that was kind of like a sad moment. I remember like crying with my dad after the game because I was like, damn, like this might be my last, like I love this sport and this might be my last like actual game. And so that, and then at the end of college too, when I was, I actually played football my last year at Sac State and then started working out to play overseas or play professional. And so going into that summer, it was kind of like a lot of uncertainty. Like, am I going to get a job? Like just like working on my skills and stuff like that. And like the money was like, you know, like how it is, like college student, man, like right at the end, like you're kind of low on the bread, bro. I was eating, like mac and cheese and stuff like that. So you're trying to make the bread work. And so, yeah, so there's like two moments where I'm like just grinding, just like kind of have faith, and it kind of all worked out.
Was there like, whenever you're going on that grind of kind of like trying to make it to the league, I mean, there was a moment where you went undrafted, and how hard was that on you to kind of go undrafted and have to go through a whole new process and find another route?
Yeah, so it was kind of weird. Like the way it worked out was because I finished 4 years of eligibility for basketball, my name got put into the draft, even though I was still like currently playing football that next summer or that next fall. So it's kind of like a weird thing. So it worked out where I was just like people kind of forgot about me or like didn't really know that I was actually still like hooping. And so I kind of had to like work my way up, and like I was lucky enough to like be able to like get some open gyms with some of like the Kings players. And so they kind of saw that I was like working hard and stuff like that, and kind of wanted me to like give like a thank you and allow me to try out for the Bighorns, which was the G League team for the Kings at the time. And I ended up making the team. And so it kind of just went from there.
Yeah, that's great. Did you have anything about the football career before I move forward, Nathan?
Yeah, so a little bit more about the football is, I mean, you were a walk-on for the football team. You had 2 classes left of eligibility before you could graduate.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of, I mean, what did that kind of play in the role of you deciding to play football?
Yeah, so I played football in high school, and so I was kind of familiar. I was like lightly recruited by the coaches at Sac State, so I was like familiar with them. Like I knew their names and see them on campus and stuff. And so I'd walk by them, and they'd be like, "Hey man, when you coming out for the football team?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm a hooper. Like I love basketball, blah, blah, blah." And then so yeah, I had those 2 classes come up left, and then I was like, "Dang, like it would be kind of cool just to try out, see what football is about, see what it would have been like if I actually like pursued it." And so I emailed Coach Sears. I was like, "Hey man, I know you always see me around campus and like been joking around, but like, are you actually serious? Like, would it be cool if I came out and like see what it's about?" And he's like, "Yeah, come on down." So I did spring football with them, and ended up going well, and they ended up letting me play on the team and pay for my last semester.
I gotta ask real quick. Do you think? So there's always a debate on whether or not like this NBA player, whether or not he could play football. Like LeBron, could he play football, or could Odell Beckham Jr. play basketball? There's always that debate. So what's your thoughts on that debate?
I think basketball is kind of unique. I think basketball has so much touch and so much like finesse while being strong at the same time that there's certain players that you could see that are all right, it would transfer over, but it wouldn't transfer over for anybody. I think football is definitely harder, like on mentality wise, just like being hit every play, being super physical. Like those dudes are like built different. Like up here, just being able to have that mental toughness and all that other stuff. But I think there's some freak athletes out there that could easily like do both. Like if they're committed enough to like work on their craft for football, and if they really focused on something else, they'd be able to do it. So I think there's a bunch of athletes out there that could do both.
Yeah, I tried out freshman year. It was after one hit out, this isn't for me.
Yeah, I've been there. One time I got hit, my nose was like running and stuff. I was like, oh,
yeah, I'm like, yeah, nah. I can still get the girls on the basketball team.
Yeah. That's why I stepped to QB, man. I was like, man, let me just come back here and throw it. I don't have to do all that hit. So
yeah, but even he get laid out too. So it's like just the kicker. You know, if you're not gonna be the kicker, just stay on the field.
Kicker.
So what I wanted to ask too is I kind of want to know who's Cody Demps, like not just a basketball player, but like as a person, what else are you into? Like what else?
Like, man, I feel like, I feel like I'm a weird dude, man. So complicated. Like I got all different types. Like I love like just like everyone else, like movies and like music and stuff. Love kicking it with my friends. Like one thing that I really think is like close to me is like the area that I grew up in Sacramento. And so I think it's done a lot for me because obviously I went to Sac State and then got my first like professional kind of experience with the Kings organization. So I owe a lot to the city. And so I think that's one of the things that kind of like really kind of like I put out there, kind of define me, is just repping Sacramento.
You have like a gaming company, right? A streaming platform that you
do? So I've been doing a lot of streaming. Like I've always liked video games. And so video games have always been super fun to me. And so, yeah, just like this last summer, I started doing like a lot of streaming stuff. And so I like editing videos too. I do a lot of like editing and stuff like that. So I just like being creative, things like that.
Now, are you, before I pass it to Nate, what are you? 2 questions. Mm-hmm. Xbox or PS? Which one you got?
Man, I've always had a PlayStation. I've never had an Xbox. So, man, I'm PlayStation through and through.
How do we end this call? And are you sports or are you more like Call of Duty, those other games that I'm not familiar with?
Yeah, I say more sports games, but then I still get down on Call of Duty sometimes. Let's see. Play Fall Guys. You know what Fall Guys is?
Yeah, Fall Guys.
I thought so highly of you, man. I really held you to a high standard, man, at the beginning of the call.
Wait, what you want? You don't like Fall Guys? Oh, man.
It's 2K and Madden. Anything else is just like, we're adults, man.
You gotta try MLB The Show.
Yeah, like I just bought that. Yeah,
it's competitive, dude. It's a mind game playing with somebody else, man.
But shooting and Fortnite and all of that stuff, man. I'm a grown man. You know, I'm not into that, man.
It's different because there's like 8-year-olds out there that are better than me, and I'm like, dang, like this hurts my self-esteem. Like this kid.
Yeah, and that's the truth too. I don't want to be embarrassed, so I just say,
facts.
What makes it worse is whenever you're on those games and like you get in the game chat lobbies and all those 8-year-olds are calling you out for being bad at the game. That's what makes you
exactly.
Like, hey, y'all got school tomorrow, man. Go to bed.
Yeah. That's when you're mad.
So you kind of talked a little bit about being a creator. I want to wrap back around that a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, you do Twitch streams, you like to edit videos. Really, do you think creating is kind of like the next step for you after basketball?
It might be. See, that's one of the things that I'm still trying to like figure out because I got my degree, so I was like, all right, cool. But I'm still not sure what I want to do after basketball. That's something that I do actually spend like a lot of time just thinking about, and so I like to keep my options open. So like one of the cool things about the NBA is they do offer like a lot of like cool stuff to make you kind of think about what you want to do after. Like I've been able to, they've set it up where I did like job shadowing. And so they like let us go to like the Vans, like kind of like headquarters down in SoCal where we met with like the Vans people that do all the shoes and all the clothing and stuff. I even did like one with like YouTube where I met people that actually worked at YouTube and saw what they did. And so I'd like try to keep my options open. You know what I mean?
Wow, that's the part too that a lot of people don't know about the NBA. and at all. I mean, so I kind of wanted to hear a little bit more about that, because we think it's more of like you go to the pros and when your career over, you end up broke or just sitting around not doing anything. But I kind of want to hear more about what else they offer you guys to keep you guys going. Yeah,
so that's like the stigma, right? Where you see like, oh man, these young dudes getting paid, they don't know how to handle their money, which I actually do think that happens, because a lot of like people that do get drafted and stuff, they don't come from like families that are well off, that are taught all those like fundamental things like taxes and all that stuff. So I really think they do give you the option. So it's really what you make out of it. So if you're really like, man, I want to learn how to like take care of my money, or like learn how to invest in like real estate or things like that, they have people that work for the league that you could easily reach out to, and even they're come reaching out to you sometimes. And so it's really like what you make up the most out of it. So if someone's willing to like learn and go reach out for it, they give you a bunch of options for that.
That's great. That is great.
Yeah, and a little bit more around that. I mean, with the job shadowing, like he said, you don't hear much about that. So another thing you don't hear about is like, what do you guys do in your off time? Like in the off season, obviously you're working out, you're putting as much work in the craft to kind of get better and make that next step forward in your game. But I mean, besides that, when you're not working out, whenever you're not busy, what do you guys do?
You talking about during the off season or during the season?
Just during the season, during the off season. I mean, no matter what, any free time you have away from basketball, what do you do?
Yeah. So during the season, there's not as much free time. You're traveling, you got practice, so you leave for the next day. So it's a lot of travel. So during like those days, like it's a lot of just like relaxing, chilling. Like you come home from practice, hop on the game. It's something that's competitive and fun, but it doesn't take a toll on your body and stuff like that. But during the off season, a lot of players go back to like their home, like where they're from, or they might stay in the city that they're playing at. But a lot of people go back to where they're from and like get back with like the trainers that they grew up with, and kind of get back with their own trainers rather than with the coaches at the facility or things like that. And so during the off season, it's a lot more time where you could kind of pursue what you want. So like one of the things that I'm trying to put together is kind of like a kids camp for this summer, be able to like get back to the kids and like kind of be somebody that I kind of would look up to when I was a kid. And so it's a lot of free time to where you can kind of pursue what you're into.
Wow, that's great. So this is my question for you.
Let's hear
right
it.
now, the NBA, there's a team. We're gonna let you choose that team. They made the playoffs, but the player at your position opted out for COVID reasons. Which team would you be able to fill in and you could carry them the rest of the way? Not saying that you would like carry the team, but you would fit right in that place and you would get them to that final. Which team is that?
Man, see, I really feel like I'm like a Swiss Army knife. Like put me in wherever and I'll make it work. But I think like if there was one team, like obviously like the Kings didn't make the playoffs, and so I can't really say the Kings, but that's like the one team that I would like rep the hardest for sure.
That sounds politically correct, but I'm not mad at you.
It's true, man. It's true, I swear, man.
So you and Fox can work it out? You and Fox and who's that, Barnes?
Yeah. Whatever they need. They need 3-and-D, whatever they need to bring the ball up. They got a point guard, so they could. But yeah, whatever.
And you off ball too, so
yeah, whatever they need to plug me in at, I'm with it.
That's great. Yeah. So hey, Luke Walton, if you hear, come get him. You know we ready.
There you go.
We ready.
So, I mean, you've gotten the chance to play some great talent, and really, I mean, as a young player, whenever you were younger as a player, would you have expected to play with the talent that you've gotten to play with?
Nah, man. I remember my first year, one of my roommates was Matt Jones. And so that was like one of my good homies, and he played for Duke. And I was like, man, growing up, like, I just imagine like watching Duke on TV and just like dang, those dudes are good, like on a whole nother level. And so it was cool, like playing with a bunch of players from like big time schools and like players that I've seen on TV and stuff like that. So it was super awesome.
So how are those players? Because now it's being common, they're skipping the pros, skipping college and coming straight to the G League. Mm-hmm. So you came across, I know, Jalen Green. If I'm pronouncing his name right, is it Kuminga? Kuminga?
I think Kuminga.
Yes. Him. I think Jaden Hardy, he's coming.
I think I think he just signed for this next year.
What are the mentalities of those players? Like, how are they? Like, do they come in like feeling like, oh, this is just a stepping stone? Do they come in like ready to get it out the mud? What are their mentalities when they're in the locker room with you?
I think they're all like super talented. I think to make it to that level as like a young player, you got to be super competitive and like have put in the work in to get to this point. And so a lot of them are like, or I'll say all of them are all super talented and like confident in themselves. Mm-hmm. And so I think the one thing that the program is really focusing on is just teaching them like the game of basketball, because it's way different. Like from college to NBA, it's super different. Mm-hmm. And from high school to NBA, it's way different. Like high school, you're playing against like the tallest dude on the team might be 6'4" at that. But
you're playing against me.
Yeah. You get to like the G League, you got guys that are like 7'4" and things like that. So it's different, spacing's different, tempo, all that other stuff is super different. So just teaching the ins and outs, man. Like the skills and the mentality are all there for these guys. They just got to learn the ins and outs.
So I'm going to ask you a few kind of opinionated questions here on so if you had to choose any 3 players to play, or let's say you're on a starting 5, you have any 4 players to pair alongside you. What 4 players are you pairing alongside you and why?
That's a good one.
Man, see, it probably have to be all the homies that I work out with, like back in SAC, like the guys that I grew up with. Because like, I think it's like, if you guys have like a good connection as like people like off the court, I think that's going to show up well. Like one of the things that I've seen, that I've kind of noticed is like how LeBron's always pushing for them to like hang out like outside, like how he's always like team this, team that. And I think that really goes like a long way, even in like professional sports. Like professional sports is one of the hardest kind of things, like camaraderie wise, because in college everyone's like the same like age. No one's really married. Some might have a kid right there. It's not really a lot of families. But once you get to like the pro level, you got guys that it's harder for them to hang out after practice because they got a family that they got to go back to. And so to really get that camaraderie and like guys that you enjoy being with will set them apart. So if I was to pick like a 5, it'd definitely be all people that I grew up with. Easy. Yeah.
LeBron. Kyrie.
Yeah, I don't even know if I picked that, to be honest, man. I'd be Team 5, 916, and then we take on whoever.
Well, listen, man, no disrespect, but you, Harrison Barnes, De'Aaron Fox, y'all pull up to the court, and I'll show up with LeBron, AD, Kyrie.
Man. I like our odds, man. I like our odds.
Yeah, y'all got to pick on me, but that's okay. We'll work it out. But I'm just like, it's kind of great just talking to you, because like I'm actually the guy that like when I'm looking on like YouTube and stuff, I'm always searching for like people on the come up, and that's kind of like the people I'll be wanting to go into their minds. Like we probably can assume how like LeBron, Tatum, those guys are thinking, but like when I see somebody like you, man, like you putting in the work. And you're actually successful. Like, I don't like how people could like look at certain areas and be like, that's not successful, when it's people who are not getting it. They're playing at the YMCA or the LA Fitness, you know? And so I just want to like, obviously just not ask you a question, but just take a minute to like show appreciation for like the work and what you're doing. Cause you reached your goal, you know what I'm saying? So
I think everyone's got their own grind. Like some may be basketball, some might be something else. So yeah, I think that's something that everybody can kind of relate to. Like everyone's trying to build something, whether that's for themselves or their families. So yeah, it's all love.
Yeah, that's the best part about it, is being able to be like, I'm in the league, I'm in the G League. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, looking back, I'll be like, man, like 12-year-old me, I've been like, oh, that's what's up. Like that's dope. That's dope.
Well, Cody, I want to thank you so much for coming on. I was glad. We're about running out of time now. We got about 10 minutes left in this Zoom meeting before it all closes out. So I want to thank you for coming on, and we wish you the best of luck. Sean, you got any last words to say?
I'm really just taking in a moment that I'm actually speaking with someone that has accomplished his goal, because I have a lot of goals, and like seeing this guy be actually in the G League, talking with him, I'm definitely going to follow and I want to be a part of the journey, man. Like I'm following you. As soon as we get off of this call, I want to see where this goes, and hopefully I see you plan on that next step.
Yeah, much love, man. I want to see this podcast up there with like Stephen A. and all that stuff. We all got our goals. Yeah.
We're gonna be good, man. Yeah. But many blessings to you, man. Stay healthy out there on that court. Keep doing what you're doing, man. The people are watching. I'm watching, and keep killing it, man.
Man, all love. I appreciate you guys, both of you.
No problem. So check out Cody's Instagram at Cody2Easy. Check out my Instagram at Nathan R. Shaw. Check out Sean's Instagram if you want to plug that real quick.
I am terrible on social media. My Instagram is brand official. I know that's corny, but just follow me on.
Check it all out. This will be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Thank you guys for listening. And this has been the Shot Clock.